Welcome to our guest interview today. I'm here with Chris Argent from Generation CFO. This is a community of over 100,000 members, growing rapidly, produce experiences, content, thought leadership, and interviews for their community, peer learning, and advice on how to survive in the CFO accounting world. Have I got that just about right, Chris?
Yeah, I could give you the elevator pitch, but it's that's about right. We're here to champion finance leadership teams in industry.
Yeah, and we've had you on the show before. We talked about the CFO space. In some ways, how it's very similar to what the accountants are doing, and you put it really well in that it's meeting business demand. Isn't that what accountants are doing for their clients? And isn't that what CFOs are doing for their employers? So it makes good sense. What kind of shape do you feel the CFO accounting profession is in right now, given all that's going on, Chris?
I think they're in great shape, but I do think that there's a lot of change that they're managing at the moment. We've been through the mill over the last couple of years with the pandemic. I think that's probably led to a bit of a storm brewing now, in that there's more demand for us than ever. There's more change required than ever, and we're struggling with that change a bit as well, because we haven't had to change, And I don't just mean in terms of remote working and how people want flexibility nowadays. It's really fundamental to what we're offering our clients and our businesses, and how we sort of fit the bill, because we might be doing new things that aren't in our budget, or trying to change our pricing that we haven't charged for before. So there's a lot to consider.
Sure. I'm going to do a deep dive on one of your pet projects, topics, if you like, which is data finance analytics. And why is this an important topic to talk about?
Oh, not least. So I've headed up sort of data analytics teams, and on the sort of the roles and the process side within group finance teams in large enterprise. And I just see the value. I see not only is it really sort of helpful to the business to offer a wider kind of view on the data that you're providing, the information that you're providing, maybe a more compelling view with some visualization as well. But I just see it as a really nice, creative, analytical job that so many accounting people might have thought they were getting into before they realized they were starting at the bottom of the ladder in a transactional role, and it was going to be quite a long time before they got into that sort of juicy information and business partnering. So I just think it's an opportunity just begging to be taken by a lot of people.
I love you putting the words creative and analytics together. It's not something we normally associate, but you're absolutely right. Nobody wants to be chained to a desk looking at spreadsheets for 10 to 15 years to make partner or get on the board. So there's a lot of opportunities here. What are some of the main finance analytical challenges you see for businesses these days, Chris?
So I would put these in two camps. So the real challenge is basically on the non-technical side. So I think people sort of think about analytics as being quite a technical area. We need technical resource, we need tools and data. Oh, what's this all about?
Bit geeky, a bit nerdy.
Absolutely. And accountants fit right in. So I would say there's a whole sort of technical challenge there, but that can be solved, and that can be solved pretty easily with the right technology, the right understanding of the technology, the right skills. The biggest challenge, I think, in the sort of data analytics, finance analytics space is the awareness of what it is from a leadership point of view, and the understanding of how to go about it in a constructive way to sort of create a capability, to create an asset in this new thing that you have. A lot of people talk about data as an asset and data value and all the rest of it, but that only comes when you can kind of control the beast. So I think really the biggest challenge is sort of the CFOs, finance leadership teams, partners of firms, really understanding the opportunity that data analytics can bring. And I would argue there's an immediate need for it in practice, and it's not being taken. Other people are actually taking it for you, because small business analytics companies are starting to pop up to fill that gap because practices aren't offering it. They can't get their heads around it. But also on the industry side, there might be other teams within your organization who are starting to pick up financial analytics when they're not even in finance. They're reporting the numbers when they're not even in finance. So we have to get our heads around this. It's a massive opportunity, but I see the real challenge is more of that sort of leadership challenges as to even recognize you need to go on this journey.
You make some great points, and there's so much data in accounting firms now coming from the vendors. That data needs analyzing, and more than analyzing and reporting, it needs the narrative put to that makes sense for the business owners to make good decisions. There's got to be, I suppose, a good combination, a good blend of the data and the analytics and the storytelling, hasn't there?
Yeah, and that's what makes this role creative. It might be weird for people to think, oh, I've got a creative role in accountancy, and it's not that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Leave that to the tax specialists. But no, this is about, providing information to our clients that they might not necessarily be thinking of. And providing information to our clients and to our business lines of business, budget holders, in a way that they can really get it. And it will mean a different way of working. The sort of technicalities of data visualization, I think a lot of people just sort of shrug it off. It's like, oh, we do charts, Chris. We know how to do charts. Thank you very much. But it's, there's a whole science around it. There's a whole brain science around, visualization. We all know the difference between sort of, good visualization and bad visualization. Can we understand what it's trying to say quickly? There were loads of opinions about, the pandemic kind of charts and graphs that were being shown. That just goes to show it's not as easy as you think, even if there is just a line graph there. So there is information that can be presented in a better way using these standards. But I think fundamentally there is, again, this sort of concept that needs to be understood, that there is a process to go on for data analytics, and it starts with understanding, the decision that you're trying to make or the problem you're trying to solve. It doesn't start with the tools, which is where a lot of people go out shopping for tools. What can tend to happen there is they buy the tool, they give it to the team, then it doesn't work quite right, or the team don't know how to use it, and then they start blaming the tool. But actually, it's probably that you haven't understood where you want to go with this tool. You haven't changed your processes, your approaches towards this tool. So there has to be a real blend of, of data, of tools, of people, of, the non-technical data skills, the problem solving, the context that you need to bring with the data analytics. All of that is packed in there, which makes it a really exciting opportunity.
What are some of the big trends you're seeing in this area? What's happening in this world that CFOs and accounting practitioners should be aware of?
So I think the biggest trend is that people are realizing that they have to do this. I think there is with any technology that comes out, there's always this sort of hype curve. And you get people sort of completely overestimating what you can do with this technology. Even our driverless cars, we've expected them to be here very soon, but they're not. But there's this big hype curve for every bit of technology. I think it's called Amari's law, if you want to go and look that up. But what's actually happened is that we've matured our view. We've heard the messaging. We've started to realize, yes, there is a benefit to these tools. Yes, there is a benefit to data analytics. So I think the biggest trend really is that we're starting to get it. We're starting to understand that it isn't about this hype message. It's about going to learn how to apply a data analytics process, or how to create good data visualization. And then there may be a technical skill set that we need to learn separate to those non-technical processes and skills. But most people have no awareness of what this subject's all about. So that's really the first thing, the acknowledgement that, if we need to go on this journey, we need to start training people in this subject.
There's so much coming up though, isn't there, Chris? You talk in your sessions around end-to-end data and analytics cloud platforms, all these new concepts. There's a lot to stay on top of.
Yeah, there is a lot to stay on top of. But I would say, keep it simple. So as always, talking to your kind of audience directly, there's a lot of apps out there that you can go and plug and play and buy. Now, that's a great start. And I know that some people are very happy with those tools. And, I credit all of those founders who have set up those organizations. I think they've been amazing in our industry. But it's part of the journey. So I would say buying an app, is great, but it's sort of buying something that's fairly fixed or fairly sort of standard. So if you want to then, build this capability or start selling a service to a client, then you may need to be thinking differently about, the people, the tools, the response times, how you're going to sort of actually create this capability. And that might require different tools and, different approach. And some people are sort of almost being like a technology broker. We'll buy this app and we'll charge you for that app, and we can get our heads around charging that. But there are, the power of analytics, it depends what you're trying to solve, but it could be thousands of pounds rather than tens of pounds that you've just shown someone that you can sort of help them with a decision on. So there is a lot to sort of get our heads around, I think, from the technology side, but don't start there. Just start with talking to your clients, talking to your businesses about, the problems that they need to solve. But one of the biggest blockers to that, without jumping ahead, it is that this whole model within practice is about charging out your hours.
Yes.
And it almost stops dead that sort of trial and error, that test and learn, that innovation sort of process. How, and I sort of talk to the partners now, it's like, how, are you allowing your team to sort of go on this journey if everything they do has to be charged out against something that you're currently charging? Because this could be a new service to you. And in an industry, people are starting to say, well, we almost need an R&D approach, or we need, a more flexible approach to how we're delivering so that we can find that time. So I think
challenging the billable hour here, Chris. People have tried to do this for years and accountants haven't changed.
I'm not an expert enough to sort of really go down that rabbit hole. No. All I would say is, you've got a product that's been commoditized.
Agreed.
Okay, accept that and move on. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
If the billable hour is the way to go, then keep that. But billable hour in analytics services, like I said, it's not. I don't think it's a problem with the data analytics, and it's not a problem that the business doesn't want it or understand what they're trying to buy. It's an identity shift for the firms and the accountants, because they are thinking in a particular way. So how do I charge this? Who does this? How do I provide this information service? Go and look outside your own organization, because there are organizations out there that are providing these BI services directly to probably your own clients, because you're not.
Yeah.
So and is it a huge stretch for that company to set up and provide these BI services? No. So I think it really is about identity and about a shift. And maybe you do need sort of someone who can just sort of own it and lead it and have the flexibility to create it, while everybody else is charging by the hour and doing 60 hours billable or whatever it is. But we have to address that issue as well if you're going to make that change. And it is the same in industry. There's a lot of conversation about how these things are funded and charged, and a lot of wooden dollar conversations between does this department have the cost or does that department have the cost? It's like, well, we've already spent it. So, what's the point?
Sure.
Delivering the service because it's providing value to a business, that's the starting point. And I'm sure you'll work out a price, your accountants.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well of the value of real-time insights. We have to respond so quickly to emerging trends, events that are happening right now. Accountants, CFOs can't afford to be reactive with what's going on. So the power at which we get data and can analyze that, that's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Why do we have prime time ads for Xero and QuickBooks and the like nowadays? It's because they're making a huge amount of money. But that is an innovation kind of example there that we could all learn from. Is the benefit sort of changing the accounting industry or changing how we've done accounting? No. The benefit is moving to the cloud. The benefit is creating a standard API so that we can transact in a particular way and plug into all this data and find all this data. So they've kind of fixed the problem for us that we didn't even know we had. And now we've gone, oh, right, we need all this data. So they're one step ahead of us. But, we could start doing that on the data analytics side as well. We could start thinking, well, what data do we need for our clients? What decisions do we need to make for our clients? What tools do we need for our clients? Okay, let's go and do that. Let's go on that journey. Let's start charging it out. And the real-time nature of it is, I think, almost more important on a sort of small business side, because everyone's worried about cash. Everyone's sort of making decisions that they have to probably fund immediately rather than going to a sort of funding committee and then being given $1 million to go and play with. But and in the industry, they're more operational use cases. The operations teams might need to make in-flight decisions, discount within a day to get rid of stock or whatever it is. All those things are happening within industry as well. But I think the real-time nature of things is powerful. But that said, it's not the be-all and end-all, because I don't need to have real-time information if I can't affect that decision in real time. If I only make the decision once every month, then I only need the information once a month.
What are your thoughts, Chris, on the security of data? There's a lot of safety implications here, isn't there? As we compound the data, there's a lot more of it, so there's a lot more at risk.
Yeah, I think this might be one of the blockers actually with people going into data analytics or just even exploring this new area, because as risk managers, I would say it's all on a spectrum, but maybe we're more risk averse. We're certainly trying to find risk and report risk, and whether we're on audit, where we're managing audit risk, or in industry where we're looking for risks, operational risks, we have that sort of risk, professional skepticism built into us. So it's quite sort of daunting for us to say, right, okay, let's invite risk in, information risk, cybersecurity risk, GDPR risk, whatever it is. And it can make us feel, a little bit uncomfortable. This isn't what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be getting rid or reducing risk. But actually, there's a bigger benefit. If we have to move to the cloud, I don't think anyone now is thinking anything other than cloud. And I think all of the concerns about cloud, which, only a few years ago about data security and the like, that's all gone away. I think people do want to know where their cloud servers are, but I think that's probably it from a finance point of view. That's more of a legal point. But the risk is sometimes putting people off, but I think that again is a lack of education rather than the fact.
Yeah, these are some great insights into the challenges and opportunities with data analytics. Just get your crystal ball out to finish, Chris. What is next for financial data analytics over the next year, 5, 10 years? What should finance leaders, accountants be keeping their eyes open for?
I think it's going to become core to our profession. There's a lot of debate at the moment about the shape of our profession. Should audit be within accountancy?
Yeah.
Should it be a separate profession? I think one thing's for sure, if you went into accounting, to help businesses, be a business manager, maybe one day be the boss or your own boss, then business analytics, finance analytics is going to be core to that. I think we're going to probably see a formalization of that within our profession. The accounting institutions are starting to bring this into the exam syllabus. It's done, I would say, fairly badly at the moment, and it's only for a couple of marks. And I don't think that's the right approach. We have to learn this and give it the respect that it needs. And actually talking about sort of easy solutions and low code, no code is a bit of a red herring. We actually do need to learn something here. We do need to go on the finance analytics journey, and we actually will benefit from it massively. So, don't sort of compromise on it. Don't look for easy solutions. Just go and provide the best information that you can and be the best communicator that you can. And by default, you'll be the best partner to your clients and your business.
Love that. You almost took my last question away from me. I wanted you to leave us at the accountants, the CFOs, the financial professionals listening with some words of encouragement, almost a call to arms. They're fighting for relevance. They're fighting for influence. They're trying to make a difference in the businesses and firms, clients that they serve. Communication's a big part of it. Managing the data and the tools is a big part of it. What would be your parting message to those people, Chris?
I would say get closer to your clients, not further away. Yeah, get closer to the business if you're listening to this from an industry point of view.
Yeah, stakeholders, all of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. The closer you get to them, the more you understand them, the more you'll be able to, offer to them, the more you'll be able to solve for them. And if that means sitting with them for a bit, then do that.
Being curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Ask as many questions as you can. I get away from the sort of client being someone not to engage with, and
yes,
to have one chat with every 6 months because that's what's on the costing sheet. I think we've got to look further than that, and I know a lot of partners would challenge me on that. But if you want to build your business and keep your clients, and the client demand is moving, you've got to go with it.
Yeah, terrific. And if people want to join generationcfo.com, how do they go about that? What do they find there, Chris?
So they can go onto the website and sign up to our newsletter. They'll hear about all of the educational stuff, the summit that's coming up in June, the awards that we do as well, which is to celebrate people. Or you'll find me on LinkedIn. That's my major channel, and we've got the LinkedIn group there. As I said, there's one for industry, and there's kind of one for small business and firms, which is small, but it's I think around 6,000 in the group at the moment.
It's not small. Chris Argent from Generation CFO. That's been great. Thanks so much for your time today.
Cheers, Rob. Thanks for inviting me.
You've been watching or listening to the Accounting Influencers podcast featuring hosts Rob Brown and Martin Bissett, with key interviews, what's working in the accounting profession, and news from the accounting and fintech world that helps you do your jobs better. We go out to 144 countries, over 20,000 unique listeners with 100,000 downloads, and it is accredited for continued professional education and development. Thank you for tuning in.